In other technology news today, see that segue, Apple is about to deal a blow to technology rival Facebook with a new privacy feature that will block companies from tracking iPhone users around the internet. This is potentially pretty significant. It's a new feature and it's being introduced to all Apple products when they upload the latest version of their operating system. And it will allow users to say no to having their data collected by apps. And they've surveyed computer users and app users, and they expect around 80% of us would opt out of sharing our data if we were given the choice.
Well, Facebook has been put in a spin by this because user data and the advertising it generates is what makes the company so profitable. Professor Kevin Curran is a technology and cybersecurity expert at Ulster University. You're welcome to the programme, Kevin. I suppose, first of all, it's worth explaining how it works in Facebook's favour as at the moment, and then we'll talk a little bit about how the blockage is going to work.
Of course, this battle centres around privacy. Facebook do not charge us, but yet they're one of the most profitable companies in the world, and they make their money from advertising. And they make their money because that they can actually be very specific in who they give advertisers. They're allowed, for instance, to say, advertisers are allowed to, for instance, say, I want to just select guys in their 30s who have this salary and live in this region, and I want us to send them advertisements of Jeeps, for instance. Now, actually, Facebook, of course, know a lot of details about us in our profiles and what we post, but actually on devices, if you use another device, or another app from another company, that company can tell Facebook using their business tools that you bought a pair of shoes off, shoecompanyx.com. And then Facebook are able to sell that on, or able to target you with other shoe ads or offer you a reduction. Or in other words, that company can offer you a reduction on Facebook. In other words, all the apps on your phone are able to share with Facebook what you downloaded and the sites you visit.
So what is Apple's motivation for stopping this or allowing people to opt out?
Apple are really a privacy champion. Any intelligence agents I know, they all use Apple. Apple are very good. Apple make their money from subscriptions, and they make their money from hardware, like the AirPods, the earphones, the iPads, and everything else. Apple do not sell our data onto any third party. Apple have got it right. They really do take privacy into account. Of course, the advertising market, digital, everything's going online now, and the digital market is worth about 400 billion. Google and Facebook are the dominant players. Facebook, of course, earned about 50 billion from, in revenue from their ads last year. And of course, now that they know when users are finally given the option, most users rightly will say, well, no, hang on, I don't want to share my data, and they will opt out. Now, it centers around the ID, the identifier for advertisers, IDFA. Now, some tech users like me for many years have turned this off. I know about this in confidentiality. I go into settings and I turn it off. But most users do not know about it, and hence, now that apps from today have to adhere to this policy, this app tracking transparency policy from Apple, or else if they do not adhere to it, their apps will be removed from the iOS platform.
Kevin, to flip it round though, Facebook would say that this data, which they make money from, but it does have a trickle-down effect in helping people. They've launched an advertising campaign to kind of save themselves in this regard, saying that were it not for the targeted advertising that they can provide, lots of smaller businesses through the pandemic wouldn't have survived. It was a lifeline for them. Is there any merit in that?
It's a clever tactic from them. There might be 5% truth in that. I like Steve Jobs, what he says. He says, privacy means people know what they're signing up for. In plain English, and repeatedly ask them every time. Look, we've had advertising for a few hundred years. We've been able to do it without tracking people. Let the small businesses still advertise, let them use other techniques, but they don't need to know every app we use. They don't need to be that intrusive, because the general public do not know how much data is being shared. And I welcome this decision from Apple. It's really sensible.
Professor Kevin Curran, thank you very much. I'm mindful of what they say. If you don't have to pay to use a product, then you are in fact probably the product. We're live across Northern Ireland as the time just turns to 5 o'clock on this Monday evening. You're with Tara Mills and Declan Harvey on Evening Extra.